Today, we're going to talk about a city that we haven't covered on the show before, but I am excited to learn all about it. It's the capital of Alabama. It's a city known for history. It played a pivotal role in the civil rights movement. Today, it's a home of government. It's got a major military installation and a diverse economy. And that's what I want to dig into, especially the economy around shopping and retail, because that's what we like to talk about on our show. Today, we're talking about Montgomery, Alabama. That's right, you're listening to Where We Buy. It's the show where we talk with retail experts and we visit the places where we buy. My name is James Cook. I research retail and real estate for JLL. Okay, we're recording live in our JLL booth. My guest today, Jerime Reid, who is the chief of staff to the mayor of the city of Montgomery, Alabama. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
Okay, good. And then we've got Frank Robinson, who's the director of economic development. Jerime, I'll start with you. What does a chief of staff do? I mean, I've seen the West Wing before, so I know what the president's chief of staff does. But is that what you do?
Well, first of all, James, I'd like to say thank you for having us on. And what I do is I run the day-to-day operations in City Hall for the mayor of Montgomery. That is also leading a team of other executive level individuals in the city, the chief operating officer, the chief administrative officer, and actually presently right now, I'm also the chief operating officer because we don't have one right now. But that also allows me to work with folks like Frank, who's our director of economic development and the such. My job is to kind of be a jack of all trades, master of none, and then fill in for the mayor when he's not available. It's almost like being a deputy mayor, but not.
So a lot of work is what you do. You do a lot of work. So are you originally from Montgomery?
I am not. I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Grew up there, graduated from the University of Texas, then joined the United States Air Force right after my graduation, served 25 years in the Air Force, retired as an Air Force colonel. I was the vice wing commander at Maxwell Air Force Base. That's there located in the city of Montgomery. That's my connection to Montgomery. The mayor and I had built a relationship, and over time, he said he needed help. He needed help and bring talent to the city at that level, and I got on board because I knew what it meant to be in that city and the history, and also the opportunities and how Montgomery is ready to take that next step to be a giant in the region in the southeast of the United States.
How big a role does the military base, play in the economy of Montgomery?
Maxwell Air Force Base is the largest economic driver in our community. It employs roughly about 18,000 individuals. It brings in about an economic impact about $1.8 billion on an annual basis. 40,000 families and active duty personnel and civilians work on that installation and or Gunter Annex, which is annex of Maxwell Air Force Base. It's on the north side of town. So I will tell you, it is a huge impact to the community. It also brings in other sectors. Air University is the main mission there at Maxwell Air Force Base. That is the citadel of the Air Force. Outside the Air Force Academy, which does undergraduate education, all your professional military education happens at Maxwell Air Force Base, and that's why it's Air University. Also, there are other missions there to include Defense Information Systems Agency, and they are a big IT cybersecurity arm of the United States government. And then there's some Air Force assets there in the cyber world also.
Here's one thing that happens is that often when people are looking at the census, those numbers don't get counted. And so there's 40,000 people who come in for either 6 months or 2 years and living in Montgomery. Often those numbers don't get counted in the census. So the military, but the Air Force plays a big role in our footprint.
Wow. Okay. And Frank, we haven't heard a little bit about your background, so I want to do that. So Director of Economic Development, that's a role. I interact with you guys from time to time.
Yeah.
But for our friends who are listening, what does that mean? What are you doing in your day-to-day?
The day-to-day, I'm a little bit more focused than Jerime. So day-to-day, I'm looking at how to bring businesses in, how to grow our jobs. Housing is under me as well, and some small businesses. So really getting the economy jump started, really making sure that the economy stays in the forefront. That's my job.
Gotcha. Are you originally from Alabama or from
No,
Montgomery?
I'm actually there 10 months now. I
wow.
just moved from Philadelphia, got a call.
Really?
And got excited. Jerime actually called me.
Really?
Made the call from a contact through the mayor and convinced me to go. And I've been happy with the decision ever since.
Okay, so let's talk about the economy. We talked about like the big economic drivers. Well, no, we haven't talked about everything. Is there there's a tourism element, right, to this city too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things about tourism is that we're number one in the state for international tourism. And we're only number 2 in the state for all tourism. But tourism is one of our big economic drivers in the city because of the history, because of the civil rights movement and other things. So tourism plays a big economic impact, over $1 billion worth of economic impact for the city and for the region.
So are there a number of like historic sites and museums that people always go to when they visit?
Yeah.
Yes, one of the museums that or sites that folks go to is the Equal Justice Initiative. You may have seen the movie Just Mercy, and it features a gentleman named Brian Stevenson. He's an attorney, did a lot of work when it came to justice and equality and justice for folks that were on death row. He has now moved on to really educating our community, educating folks around the world on equality, equity, and justice in a way that highlights what happened in the city of Montgomery and why that changed the world. People have this misnomer that Alabama is stuck when they see the old movies and it's black and white, or you see a movie that talks about the civil rights movement. We are a city that honors that tradition, honors that history, but at the same time, we're progressive. We're moving forward. And more importantly, that tourism is an anchor. It's purposeful tourism. That's the word we give it. And we love that people come to our city to learn about what changed the world. It just, and that's the thing. Everybody talks about Atlanta as being the empire of the South, right? But the reality is Montgomery, Alabama is the Boston of the American Revolution. It is the place where all of the key assets and all the key moments happen in a lot of ways. Dr. King preached there. Rosa Parks made her stand there. Yeah. So there's so much rich history there. And then also the history of the Confederacy, right? We don't shy away from that. There's a building downtown in our square, the Winter Building. That building was the place where the telegram was sent to Fort Sumter to start the Civil War. Wow. Folks don't realize that Montgomery, Alabama was the first capital of the Confederacy before it moved to Richmond, Virginia. Wow. So we have that history also, that people who are into history, want to learn about American history, they come to our city. I tell people all the time, we're probably one of the 5 most influential cities in America when it comes to history and American history.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but there's some other things. And so one of the things I want to make sure that we highlight is that the reason why Maxwell is there's some legacy there. So the Wright brothers, their first kind of corporate, kind of where we talk about the modern airport, was started in Montgomery. One of the first streetcars was started in Montgomery. And so there's a lot of innovation, a lot of history. We talk about the country singer, Hank Williams, that started, that he was in Montgomery. So a lot of innovation. Yeah. F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Wow, these things are from all over the place. Yeah. They're kind of coming together in one place.
So I want to make sure that people understand that the history we have is deep and rich.
Yeah.
And it's multifaceted. And we are embracing that and building upon that. And so it's a lot of history to explore beyond just the civil rights movement and just beyond kind of the Confederacy movement. It's a lot of things that have happened in Montgomery.
So when tourists come to the city, do they go downtown? Is there a big downtown scene there? Tell me about that.
Yes. So there's a big downtown scene. Most of the sites happen or are downtown and revolve around the state capitol. But I will tell you, the purpose for this conversation is we want to grow that space. We want to do more retail there. We want to do more amenities and entertainment when it comes to restaurants and the such, because folks come and really our goal, and people laugh when I say this and there's jokes, but we kind of want to make Montgomery sticky. We want people to come to our city and just stay there and hang out there for a while and really immerse themselves into the culture and the people in the community. We have one of the greatest communities in America. I will tell you that 100%. but we want that retail in our downtown. We want entertainment. We want that in our downtown area. And I think that's going to be very important. Because of the nature of the tourism, it's important for us to look at other entertainment venues and opportunities, right? It's heavy. We want people to not just come to Montgomery and feel the heavy. We want you to feel the light too and have some fun in our beautiful city. We are a river city. We have Montgomery Whitewater, which is one of 3 world-class whitewater, man-made whitewater courses in the nation. Tulsa, I think, and Charlotte have the other 2. We actually hosted the Olympic trials at Whitewater, Montgomery for this past Olympics. And we also hosted the training for the Olympians also there in Montgomery as they prepared for the Summer Olympics. So once again, great assets in our city. We want more. We want to grow, but we want folks to come and really be a part of what we're doing in the city of Montgomery.
Are there new development projects proposed under construction? Tell me about the commercial development going on.
Yeah, one of the biggest projects that we're undertaking is a new convention center. So we want to expand the convention center we have by 100,000 square feet, in addition to a multi-purpose arena that's all going to be downtown. And that project has started, and we're at the very beginning stages of that. There are a number of new housing units going downtown as well. We're in the process of our downtown area putting 1,600 more units downtown.
We also have 2 large hotel projects also downtown, one adjacent to the Equal Justice Initiative campus, and then the folks at the Equal Justice Initiative are building their own hotel and convening center, which is on the hilltop looking down over the city. Beautiful site, and that actual site is on the Selma to Montgomery Trail, which is a National Historic Trail. That's the route that Dr. King and all of the Freedom Riders walked back in 1965 to make it to the state capitol to protest for civil rights. So that's part of that trail, is that hotel and convening center. So, and there's also a memorial on the hill adjacent to that property also that EJI has done. They've also done, and I'll tell you, it is a world-class Smithsonian level sculpture park that EJI has done adjacent to their property downtown that is on the river. It is a must see. If you don't do anything else in the city of Montgomery, you got to go to that sculpture park.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the things I got impressed with was just the level. Jeremy used the word like Smithsonian, and I think there's no place like it. It's something that I think every person should go and visit. Matter of fact, we were in the office and we learned that we had the consulate of England come through, and they have to study civil rights, and Montgomery is on that. And so they were so excited when they walked through it. It's just a world-class facility. The other thing I wanted to say, in addition to what Jeremy said, we just had 2 restaurants open downtown this week that were originally Birmingham concepts or local regional concepts that opened a second location here that's adding to our restaurant scene. We also recently had a juke joint by one of our local proprietors, the Kaiser Group, and it's doing well. And so there's a lot to do right now, in addition to more that we want to do.
So a juke joint, is that like a bar with music?
Yeah, think about Nashville.
Yeah,
like a small version of Nashville.
Oh, okay.
You can come, and there's all different types of music. There are live bands that play
I love it.
Weekends, and it's right downtown. So it's a great facility.
So you sort of Jeremy, you sort of talked about this as like what you're trying to attract to this city, but maybe we could dive in a little bit more. You mentioned some local concepts that are opening second locations. Are you interested in more of that, or would you like to see national chains come in? If so, what kind of stuff are you looking for?
Yeah, I'm going to say both and. So as you know, we are like any other city. We want to curate something that when you go, it's something unique, but then when you also go, it's something familiar. And so some of those things are, for example, we want a CVS or Walgreens or that type of store to come downtown, but we also want some of the unique feel, so you can feel the unique restaurants, unique concepts.
Yeah.
And so we're looking for retail, some more restaurant, but also other type of retail. So when we have tourists come, and you know how it is when you're going to a city, you kind of spend a little bit more money than you usually do. So you want to look for shops, you're looking to enjoy yourself, you're looking to buy things, but you want to make sure that you buy things that say Montgomery on it or that reminds you of a time because you're spending a special time and place. And so we're looking for a combination of retail, experiential retail, restaurants, and some of the unique things that were happening.
Do you find it's difficult when you're when you're talking to a national chain, especially? Are there hurdles to overcome because you're a smaller city and they maybe you're not on their radar?
Yes, I would say sometimes perception happens. And so that is one thing. But I started to allude before, the numbers. Our numbers are bigger than kind of what you would do if you're just kind of looking at the census or looking at traditional tracks. So we mentioned some of the numbers around the military, but also we have a large student population. We have 5 universities in our city that often people are buying, they're attracting. And also being a capital city, people come to us for various reasons. And so our numbers are really larger than they appear if you do traditional data work. And so we want to make sure that people understand that, but also some of the perception around the history that we have. And we want people to know that, and Jerime said this earlier, that Alabama is open, but it's not the old Alabama that people have seen in movies or things. This is an Alabama that's innovative. We have Hyundai is there. We have Facebook. We have bottling companies. We have a number of other businesses there, assurance company that's there. And there's a lot of different things that are happening. And this is the time to invest. If you want to invest anywhere, you don't want to go to any other city in Alabama, but you want to come to Montgomery.
And I'll jump in on that a little bit and kind of go back to the history piece. The Wright brothers established their first flying school in the city of Montgomery. That ultimately evolved into Maxwell Air Force Base and Maxwell Field.
Okay.
Where the Tuskegee Airmen also trained. They weren't allowed to bunk there, but they were over at Moulton Field, which is in Tuskegee. So The other piece of it is back, and then fast forwarding to where we are now and talking about innovation. That was the first step of innovation when you talk about the city of Montgomery. That's the first flight school in the world.
Wow.
Innovation, Montgomery. You talk about the innovation of flight tactics for the entire United States Air Force was studied there. Innovation with the Tuskegee Airmen. Now we fast forward, we have Meta, who's building a data center in our community right now. In addition to that, the city of Montgomery is one of the few, if maybe the only city in the United States that owns and operates its own data exchange. For a lot of companies that need to keep their data locally and large sums of data, we can do that where it doesn't have to bounce to Atlanta, where it doesn't have to bounce to Dallas or Miami for them to have access to data. What does that mean for them? Well, it's customer experience, right? Their systems are going to move a lot faster, and we're willing to partner with folks as they come into the community. That's another thing, a facet that a lot of folks don't realize we have as a city. So we're always innovating, just under the radar. But we are here to let folks know that story that when you come to Montgomery, you come to one of the most innovative cities in America.
Yeah, one of the things that we did mention is that several weeks ago, we broke ground on a $100 million inland port. And so what that's going to allow us to do is that things from Mobile will come to us and then we get to disseminate it to all across. And so through a train, we have a really extensive train network, a really extensive highway network. And we're building our cargo for air to do that. So that broke ground. That will be ready sometime next year. But $100 million has been invested. And so that's another kind of investment that's happening.
And we're an international trade zone. That means a lot, especially in this political environment with tariffs. That allows folks to be able to have international warehouses where they don't have to pull supplies if they go to that warehouse and pay taxes on them until they actually pull them out. So it can come in the state, your stuff can be in the States, and then you don't have to pay those taxes immediately. It's a delay based on usage of those materials. So we're also an international trade zone. So that also makes us, I think, very competitive and very attractive to folks in all sectors of industry. So whether if it's retail, experiential, or the such, we have some abilities to help people do some cost savings and be economically sound as we pencil deals and we pencil opportunities for our city.
Everybody who wasn't thinking about things like international trade zones, now they're thinking about it. I know this is tough to do because this is audio, But I wanted to see if we could paint a little picture. So we talked about downtown. Are there can you kind of explain as best we can verbally, like what are the sections of Montgomery? Like maybe there are different nodes that people generally go to. Are there other districts that people, visit? Just to give a sense, let's say I'm like a retailer thinking about the market. How do you explain it?
Yeah, well, Montgomery is dead center of the state.
Okay.
So I would say that, and Montgomery is located on the river. So to give you a little context, we are 2 hours from Atlanta. We are an hour and a half from Birmingham. We are 2 hours from Mobile. And so we're right in the middle of that.
We have an area, the east side of town called East Chase, where from a retailer's perspective would be something that's I would think is attractive. There's a lot of population out there, a lot of income, a little bit higher income in that area. I would be remiss, though, in saying this is one of the things we really want to do is look at some of the communities in the city that have not been served at that level. We want to look at West Montgomery, where the Selma to Montgomery Trail tracks through. People come through there for tourism all the time, but there's not a lot of amenities in that part of town. So we're looking for it's a play for both, right? For the tourists and also the community at large. We want them to benefit from being economically sound and putting a grocer or a small grocer in that side of town, because it's a food desert. It literally is a food desert in that area. But I-65 goes right through it, all the way down to Mobile, all the way up to Kentucky. Folks travel that road all the time, and they come through that part of Montgomery, and they bypass it. And there's like 6 exits. And they bypass it. And they either stop north of town or they stop south of town. My job is to get those people out of their cars into that community and spend their money and build that economic base and that tax base in that city. So that's my job to do that. And that's why we're here. We're here to have those conversations with folks and say, hey, there's economic opportunities. Maxwell Air Force Base is adjacent to downtown. We're trying to connect that through a trail system. That's another thing we're working on also is urban trails, also making our city more walkable, also more appealing for folks that want to live, work, and play in a community that's urban, but also has a nod to nature and use that as an economic driver in our city. And it's not just downtown. It will permeate across several neighborhoods that are adjacent to the downtown area.
I would just add a couple of things. We're the hub for around 14 counties. So retailers should know that the economic activity that happens there affects the area. Also, we built a lot of industrial in the South, but we also right now have room and space to grow more of the retail and the housing side of that, and to complement the industrial growth in that area. So when we look at the south part of the city as well, there is a lot of opportunity, and that's part of the I-65 kind of corridor going down that way, where there's a lot of land, there's a lot of opportunity. There's already some investment, but right now is ripe for even more investment there as well.
And I will say this, since 2020, our MSA population has grown steadily at 3% to realize an 89% growth rate since 2020 to 2025. So we have almost grown 100% in those 25 years. So we need the amenities to support that and also attract more folks. One thing we do see is we have a brain drain. We have 4 institutions of higher learning and then a 5th one that's two that are very close, that are major universities. So you have Alabama State University, you have Faulkner University, Huntington College, you have also Auburn University, Montgomery. Then Auburn University is 50 miles away from us. Okay, so the city of Auburn, which we count them in our MSA. In between there is Tuskegee University, which is the historic Tuskegee Institute that was started centuries ago. We have that rich history when you talk about historically black colleges and universities, but also land grant schools like Auburn University and Auburn University Montgomery. Those young people, they're choosing Montgomery, but they're choosing the bedroom communities around Montgomery because we have a missing middle of housing. What we've learned is the majority of the demographic of folks that live in Montgomery are either husband or wife or single. Most of our housing inventory is the traditional single family, 3-bedroom, 2 baths, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. That's just not tenable for them. So they have to go other places to find housing that fits their lifestyle. We're trying to bring all that back into the city center. Keep those young people in our city, keep them in the space and keep them active. And we think that is a strategy that will grow our city exponentially over the next 10 to 15 years.
The city is friendly and open for business, and we are pretty innovative to make things work. And so if there's a retailer or, commercial that we can find a way to make it work. We have land, we have a lot of things going for us. I want to make sure that people understand that we're ready for.
You're open for business. Okay, this makes me think of another question I want to ask you. So you're here at this conference. What kinds? I'm not going to ask for specifics, but what kinds of folks are you meeting with? Like what's your target message receiver here at ICSC?
We're looking for several tracks. So brochures. People who are doing groceries, both big and small. So there are smaller concept brochures. We are looking for that. Entertainment. That's one of the big things we've heard from our constituency. And Jerime alluded to this earlier. We want people to have fun in Montgomery. People who are visiting, people who live there, and people who are just stopping by. We want people to stop. And so we've been talking to entertainers in that, but also some restaurants. We want some different restaurants, some concepts downtown, but also in other places in the city as well. So people can enjoy a good meal, both fast casual or even a little bit more than that. So those are the people that we've been talking to, and we've been having some really good conversations, and also kind of the workout lifestyle. Jerry mentioned it, he didn't say it like this, but quality of life. So things that will help enhance quality of life, we've been talking with them as well.
I mean, we've done a lot of work. We've worked with folks from Bloomberg Philanthropies and folks at Harvard University. They hosted us for a senior executive leadership course based on creating an economic development strategy that we can really put some teeth into and execute upon. And that's one of the things that we came up. We had 3 really specific, focus points. One of them was quality of life and also branding of our city. We know that our city has some luggage when it comes to branding and what people that have never been to the South or never been to a Montgomery, Alabama have a preconception of, but it's not that. It is a warm, friendly place, open for business.
So Frank, you came from Philly, right?
Yes.
Philly known for a cheesesteak. What new food did you discover when you came to Montgomery, Alabama?
So Montgomery is home of the meat and 3.
Say what now?
The meat and 3. So if you go to a restaurant, they're going to make sure you get a substantial piece of meat, 3 vegetables, and a biscuit. And so that's that's been great, and that's been one of the things that I've gotten.
Any kind of meat?
No. It's usually fried.
Yeah.
So healthy
or barbecue.
Right. But honestly, I mean, we all joking aside, we say that we're the capital of the meat 3, but it's anything from meatloaf to broiled pork chops to fried pork chops to fish. I mean, baked fish, anything. There's going to be a protein and 3 vegetable items. And then I'm glad you said that, Frank. You said a biscuit. So more importantly, the biscuit is so important in the city of Montgomery that our minor league baseball team's mascot is the Biscuits. They're the Montgomery Biscuits. And we are one of the top merchandisers in minor league baseball. Major League Baseball loves the logo. We lean into it. Folks from all over the country, they don't even go to the game. They'll go to the pro shop and buy T-shirts and hats. But the biscuit is very important in the city of Montgomery. If you like biscuits, come see us. We got a lot of folks who make good biscuits.
Who doesn't? Maybe there's somebody out there, but who doesn't like biscuit?
Yeah, there's a couple out there, maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is grits, right? So northern grits are different than southern grits.
That's right.
And so if you get grits in the South, that's a whole different ball game than grits in the North.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But quality is much higher.
But James, I do miss my bagels. I miss my New York bagels.
Oh man, I hadn't even thought about that. I just figured you could get bagels anywhere, but they're not as
They're not the
as
same.
good.
The water, they had to import the water if they wanted to make the same biscuit.
Right.
The bagels.
Well, okay. So I went into this conversation wanting to learn more about Montgomery. I've definitely done that. I feel like I need to visit, and it sounds like it's a place that's kind of ripe for expansion from a lot of retailers. So good luck to both of you, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
James, thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity.
For folks out there, if you want to hear more interviews, audio, retail tours, and new research insights, you can subscribe to Where We Buy on the iPhone podcast app, on Spotify, or you can find Where We Buy wherever you get your podcasts. And we're also on the web at wherewebuy.show.
Our theme music is Run in the Night by the Good Lords under Creative Commons license.